AJ here with Scarlet Flame Candle Company, and today I'm going to show you how to do this blended technique with colored wax. So this video will end up being a bit more advanced. This is definitely not going to be a beginner video. I will be using certain terms that under the assumption that you already know what they mean. So if you know how to generally make up your candles, this video is for you, and I will just be showing you how to do this blended technique with color. So I got my wax melting down in my Presto pot right now, and as you can see, I have two of them. One is for my candle wax, that is the 464. The other one is tart wax, which I use for wax melts, but I won't really get into that in this video. So I've already got my jars wicked up and ready to go, and I am using the Flaming Candle CD20s. For the scents, I just chose to use a couple of 1 ounce samples that I had. The scent isn't really important to me in this video, since this is going to be mostly about learning how to blend the colors together. So I'm just using a combination of vanilla eggnog with gingerbread. I didn't have two of the same. But when I'm doing like a sniff test with both of these at the same time, they smell good. They smell yummy. They smell like baked goods and spices. So I think, burning them together will be just fine. And then for the dye, I like Candle Science's block dye. I know some people use the bottled like dropper dye. I've found it to just be such a mess. It's not even worth it. It's super concentrated, so you only need like a few drops, like between 3 and 6, I think. Which is better if you don't want to add to the overall weight of the wax. But in my opinion, it's just more effort than it's worth to work with. So I have some. I don't really use it all that much. So today I'm going to use black dye blocks, and for the ratio, you can see it's 1 dye block to 2 pounds of soy wax or 4 pounds of paraffin wax. And let me show you what these look like. This is what they come in. Now it's cut in half, but this whole thing is 1 block. So you would use 1 block of these for 2 pounds of soy wax. Sometimes this gets to be almost like too dark than what I want the color to be, so I will break this in half. And even further, like I will cut it into fourths. It really just depends on the color I want. But for today, I think, so I'm going to be making up 1 pound of each color, which will be 2 pounds total, and give me overall 4 candles. And when I say 2 pounds, I mean 2 pounds of wax. That's not including the fragrance oil, and that's not including the dye blocks themselves. In this video, I'm not going to include the dye blocks in my weight. I'm just going to say whatever they weigh is how much over my candles will be. I already know that my candles don't even get close to like overfilling, so I'm okay with how much ever over the dye blocks add to my candle. If you are not, please take that into your calculations. Alright, so for this technique, you are going to need 2 pouring pitchers so you can get the difference in the colors. I'm going to be using teal and black. So you will need 2 pouring pitchers, and I just go ahead and I put my dye in like right away. It doesn't matter to me when I add the dye, because as soon as it comes out of the pouring pot, it's already hot it's like at the temperature it needs to be at, and so then it just starts, you know, melting in. Okay, so I've never done this color combination before. It'll also be a learning experience for me too. Since I'm only making up 1 pound of each color, I'm just going to add one small piece of the entire block. So half of that dye block I showed you before, I'm going to add one piece of each color. It's still the same ratio, but since I'm only making 1 pound, just 1 square. Just add that into my pot. I also just add the fragrance oil directly into the pot at the same time because, again, once the wax comes out, it's already at the temperature it needs to be, and you can just start immediately mixing. If I wasn't just going to be using a 1 ounce sample, I would be weighing, and I have it on my scale, I would be weighing this out to the appropriate weight that I need it to be. And then I will just add the other block to my other pot. This one's not on, by the way, it's just sitting underneath, and add my fragrance oil. And also just to note, since I'm using 1 ounce of fragrance oil to 1 pound of wax, that means my fragrance load is going to be 6.25%. I know this isn't what I typically use, but it's just the easiest way when you're kind of testing, especially if it's just like different colors and not the actual fragrances. If you want to like wick test or test certain like color blends, I don't put typically my 7.5%. I'll scent it because I like scented candles, but yeah, I just use a little bit less because I'm not testing the actual scent. So another thing I like to use in my candle making is an internal thermometer. I know a lot of people like to use the infrared kind of gun thermometers. However, those only record the temperature of the surface wax, not the internal. And the more surface area you have, so the bigger your pot is, the more likely that your surface wax is going to be a lot cooler than your internal temperature. It's letting off that heat because it's touching the air. So an internal thermometer will give you a more accurate reading of what your wax temperature actually is. And this is sitting at about 200, so we're getting close. But I like to make sure that the temperature of my pot is in between like 210 and 220 Fahrenheit. This makes sure that when the moment it comes out of the spout, it hits the pot and it hasn't cooled too quickly. I like to make sure that I'm stirring my fragrance oil into my wax about 185. And I've found that when I heat the wax to about 210 or 220, by the time it comes out of the pot, or out of the spigot, it is about 190. So that's a very good temperature for me to start mixing the fragrance with the wax. And then I stir for about 2 minutes, and sometimes even longer, because if you use one of those whole blocks, it takes a lot of stirring to get it completely dissolved. So that is something you want to make sure of as well. If you don't fully incorporate that dye block into the wax, there will be like little shards of it at the bottom of your pot. So that's just something to be aware of. Okay, so I'm gonna weigh this out now. It's about 215. And I'm gonna start stirring. Also might cut the audio out at some point because I stir very loudly. So. And I'm gonna weigh out 1 pound in weight, not fluid ounces. And I'm gonna completely stir this one up before I do that one. We want them to be a little bit off temperature-wise, but not too much. Okay, that one is completely stirred in now. Most of the time you can tell when the dye block has completely dissolved by just like hitting it with your spoon. You can still feel it if it's there. And other times, if you think you've got it and you're unsure, it eventually will float to the top so you can see the part that's not dissolved. So just be aware of that. I'm gonna weigh out 1 pound for this one. Alright, so everything's mixed up now, and we played the waiting game. We've let it cool. Since it's just 1 pound in each pot, it's gonna cool fairly quickly. I would say, within like 30 minutes. However, we're going to need to let it cool to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, it's gonna start to get kind of wispy. It's gonna get kind of thick. You're gonna notice, like, I should have been pouring a long time ago, because for this 464 wax, the recommended pouring temperature is between 125 and 145. I usually pour at 135, but for this technique, we need to let it cool to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So I will be back when it's at the appropriate temperature.
All right, so I was wrong. It definitely took much longer than a half hour for these to cool. They're still about 1 degree from 100, but they are really frothy. I tried to get my camera set up to be able to show you, but the lighting is just, it's not good, so you can't really tell. They are very thick. I can feel it when I'm stirring and checking the temperature. And that's exactly the way we want them. We want them to be kind of frothy, kind of thick, almost like a cake batter. That is the exact consistency that we are going for. That's what makes this whole thing work. So I will now pour them for you, and the secret to this is to pour the pitchers at the same time. Okay, I have it set up kind of in a line here, so you won't be able to see both being poured, but by the end, hopefully you will be able to see the finished product and how cool it looks. So here we go. And we're gonna pour slowly and both at the same time. It doesn't have to be super accurate, just that we get them to kind of mix together. And these are both dark colors, so we probably won't be able to see a separation until they are hard. And it gets a little crowded at the end when you gotta tip them up as far as they go. Oh shit, I just spilled that one everywhere. Well, that's unfortunate. This one probably won't come out that great. That's okay. Accidents happen. We are human. Okay, I think that's all that's gonna come out. And you can probably see there's a lot left in there. So with these ones, it's probably good to kind of overestimate how much you're doing, unless you are really like, you want to get the most out of this. You can heat these back up if you have like a little hot pad, and get the rest of these to come out. I just don't have the patience for that, so I'll just wipe these down and center the wicks, and we'll check back in a few. Okay, so I am back. It is actually a week later than when I originally filmed that. I'm also realizing I had horrible audio issues while filming. I think there must have been 2 microphones connected at the same time, so there's like an echo effect going on. I tried to dampen it as much as I know how, but I am not a computer whiz by any means, so you get what you get. So yeah, that's what happened there. But let's take a look at how the candles turned out. For one, they smell amazing. The mixing of the eggnog and the gingerbread did not disappoint. It smells like Christmas cookies, you know? Very, very yummy. But here is how the one I messed up on, I dumped some of it out, turned out. And it's probably my favorite.
It has like this cool, you know, Z formation. And here's the bottom. The other ones didn't have as much black showing on the side, which is okay. That just means a lot of it is in the middle, and it makes everyone unique. And then for fun, I like to put, you know, little embeds on the top, just for me, because these will be ones that I'm burning, but I put like blue and black, and so here's another. And the last one. So yeah, I think they turned out decently well, especially for me spilling some. But yeah, I'm really happy with the way they turned out. And I'm also, the smell, I'm gonna have fun burning these ones. But yeah, I hope that was educational and like, you know, inspired you to try new things with different colors. I'm sure if I had done a lighter color, other than the blue, the disparity between the two would be more noticeable. But I just kind of wanted to see what the black would look like with the blue. I like those colors, so yeah. Overall, it was a success for me, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and feel free to adapt it, you know, for your wax or however you see fit to make it work for you, and let me know how it goes.